Hi there, I'm Dani Henderson, the founder of the Galactic and Spiritual Informers Connection. We just had our second GISIC 2023, as we call it, and we are planning for our third one. Our third one will be towards the end of August 2024, most likely in Colorado. We'll be bringing you information very soon, but I wanted to give you a heads up as there are so many different conferences to choose from, and disclosure is rolling out, disclosing military operations, dark programs, government mishaps, personnel in positions that they shouldn't be, lies from country to country, accords that are signed, treaties that are signed that shouldn't be, UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Some are flown by the military, of course, it's reverse engineering. They're trying to make us call them UAPs. Get lost, get stuffed, UAP. How dare you try and mind control in real time, you muppets. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up there. That's what we're planning. The speakers were off the charts again this year. We'll have other speakers too for the coming year, and I'll let you know all about that. Now, as you are all, as I am still, in our healing of ourselves individually, humanity, and really learning to respect our experiences from the past. Some of us are very confused about who we be, and some of you think that you're in secret space programs and these are screen memories, and some people really do have emotional issues from childhood, and these are the most delicate to deal with. A lot of you had very spiritual, terrifying experiences when you were children, as I did. And what I did was I put a lot of mine into a book for you, for me, for us. Now, my book is called Angels, Demons, and Aliens. Dani Henderson, Angels, Demons, and Aliens. And what I thought I would do is share one or two stories with you in it. Everything I do, we've all signed up for different soul contracts, let's say. And it's very clear to me, and has been for a long time, that mine are through experience, not through hearsay, not through watching a program, not through thinking I'm imagining or fantasizing or sitting in meditation and using my imagination to create, but through actual experience. I'm going to share a story with you that I didn't even know that this haunted cottage that I was asked to come and investigate, I didn't even know that what I saw was even a thing. But I want to share that with you, because sometimes when you hear a story, a real life story, maybe something will trigger in you, a healing in you, or maybe just another bit of information to add to your own toolbox as you are on your own journey, as we all are. And, it's so lovely to see the authorities being diminished, the people that took authority over us, that try to take leadership of our minds, our bodies, and our souls. I love seeing them all get stuffed, all get moved over, all get dismissed, fired, just eliminated. And as that's happening, the light is coming up, the light in you is coming up. There's also a lot of fighting still between people. People are getting really triggered and really angry, and it's all right, because it's not all right if you go to violence, and it's not all right for the things that people have done and said to me, death threats and stuff in public. You're scared of a girl, really? It's generally boys between the age of 30 and 45 they're all single or really unhappily married. And anyway, as we are moving towards healing our wounds, sometimes it's okay to get angry to start with, because that's the triggering. Then once you move past the anger, you can then get into the grieving and the wounding and the things that happened to you as a child that you're trying to fight not looking at. You don't have to go through every single wound to heal. You really don't. I'm proof of that. There are techniques to use, and I'm going to be releasing another book full of healing techniques for you, things that work, things that have worked for me over 20 years with hundreds and hundreds of patients and clients that I've had in my clinic, in my therapy clinic. So I'll be bringing that. In the meantime, I'm going to focus on a story. It's called The Haunted Cottage in the Woods, in my book, Angels, Demons and Aliens, which you can get on Amazon. Sorry about that. It's the only option I've got right now. Amazon. Okay. So I had a company, an investigation company, paranormal investigations, ET investigations, flying saucer, all of that. And one day I get a call, and I called it the agency. I called my investigations company the agency. And I get a call one day from a lady called Sarah, and she asks me to come into her cottage deep, deep down in the woods. So I'm going to read the story to you. And I'm going to put the camera off so you can just focus on the beautiful aurora borealis, which is the words for northern lights or the lights of the north. And I will see you in a little bit. I received a call to the agency from a lady called Sarah. She and her husband, Steve, were living in a cottage way down in the woods in Surrey in the UK. I asked her not to tell me any details other than she felt there was a spirit in her house. This is the way I work best, as I don't want a person to influence me if they ask me to come and heal or read or bless the land or home they live in. I linked in. And this means I took a deep breath and I said a prayer to be connected energetically to the cottage. And I asked to be kept safe on my own. Now, in doing this, I knew that I could attend this investigation on my own. And if it needed more than one person, that there are other protocols to recognize if it's safe to go alone. You know, there are safety protocols. When somebody asks you to do something, you have to protect yourself to never be the hero. It's never worth it to be the hero. Now, if the energy that needs clearing is very dark, for example, I would have heard the dark guttural growls, smelt the acrid, vile stench of death, and got an overall sense of foreboding. But luckily, when I linked to the cottage, I felt activity, but nothing that would require a full-on team. There was something very off that I couldn't put my finger on, but I trusted I would see it when I was on the investigation. The cottage is over 200 years old and was really deep down in the woods. I drove my car down the lane and I actually had to walk the rest of the way down a muddy path. It rains so much in England. Sarah answered the door. A tall, beautiful blonde lady, and her husband Steve was right behind her. They were renovating this large cottage, and as I walked into the kitchen, I heard 5 very violent knocks from the wall. I asked them if they heard the knocks. They said no. I faced Sarah and I rapped my knuckles hard 5 times on the kitchen table. And I told her I knew she'd heard this knocking before. As I'd asked her not to say anything until I finished my walk, she just looked at me with huge big eyes, trying not to show emotion, but her body language gave her away. I knew that she'd been very disturbed by the knocking, and I would be guided to find the source. As I walked around the large cottage, Steve and Sarah followed me. Now, in the hallway, I suddenly saw a little boy and girl spirit. They were holding hands and they were staring up at me to see if I would see them. I smiled at them and I asked Steve, "When did you see the children?" He blurted out, "Oh my God, oh my God." I was hammering on the floorboards and I felt something behind me. I looked around and I saw 2 kids, a boy and a girl. It really scared me. I assured him they were harmless and just curious, but that we would call in the angels for these little ones to go home to love God, Source, today. The children were no more than 5 and 6, and they did not let go of each other's hands as I spoke to them telepathically and I sent them love. They communicated that they'd been playing in the woods. They had got lost, and when they got home to the cottage, their mother was gone. As they shared this story, what I felt in my gut and what I saw clairvoyantly was a horrible accident that had swept them away in a local lake, and they had not realized they had drowned. Steve, Sarah, and I stood in a circle, and we joined hands, and we all prayed for the release of these little ones. Yeah, instantly, a warm light came, and I saw in the light the children's mother, with arms outstretched and surrounded by angelic beings. She welcomed her babies into her arms. Makes me feel like crying with this memory. It makes me so grateful to witness the little ones joining their mother in heaven. We continued the walk, and we came to a beautiful big old-fashioned drawing room, and I could hear voices, female chattering and laughing and whispers. I closed my eyes to connect and link to the energy, and I saw a lady in a wide, big brimmed straw hat and a long yellow dress. I could sense that she'd lived here many years ago, and she loved it. She loved it. She enjoyed having her friends to play parlor games and discuss their lives. Sarah liked hearing about this lady, and she said it made her feel happy that this spirit was still living in her former life in the cottage. She didn't want me to remove this spirit, and as the spirit was pure love, I didn't remove her. This is the only time I did not remove a spirit, as we are the living, and the deceased have had their lives. I don't believe in deals and negotiations with the dead, or that we ever have to share space with a ghost. Everyone deserves a clear home to navigate their own life and express their own spiritual beingness without interference from a resident spirit. We went upstairs, and I sensed a man who told me clearly his name was John. I saw him in a side room that served as a walkway between 2 bedrooms. The cottage has been renovated over the years, and John would come back and rustle papers in his old office area that to this day was also being used as an office area. Both Steve and Sarah confirmed feeling uneasy and seeing papers flying off the desk or hearing rustling, but they couldn't figure out where it came from. I linked into John's energy and asked him politely to leave and to go to the light. He seemed irritated, but as I focused on him and I prayed for Jesus and their angels to come and support his departure, he became very emotional, and he easily let go of this existence. Steve said he felt the room lift and become lighter. And Steve's a really open, positive man and was easily able to feel the positive energy, but even a skeptic is able to sense a shift from negative to positive if they are really honest. We continued the walk, and we came to the master bedroom. It was a nice room, not very big, but big enough for an old iron double bed and a chest of drawers. I walked around the room, and I stood with my back to the far window. And as I did this, my back started to hurt really badly. This is normal, as I often feel how a person died or where the pain in their body that ended their life was. Now, having seen and experienced so much spiritual activity over the years, I investigated, witnessed and aided wandering souls in the return to the light. It takes a lot to shock me, a lot. I knew the energy in this room. It was mostly focused on Sarah. And at this time, I asked her to tell me when she'd heard the loud knocking. Sarah was shaking emotionally and physically at this point and told her story. One night when Steve was away on business and she was alone in the house, a storm came. Hail, rain, howling, loud, battering wind. The cottage is so tucked into the trees that when the wind comes through, the noises are amplified. Sarah thought she'd have an early night and took a long hot bath and got into bed. She couldn't sleep. She kept hearing super loud banging and shouting. Was it the wind? The noises got louder, and Sarah became terrified as she heard someone running up the stairs, right up to her bedroom door, and then same 5 knocks I'd heard when I walked into the front door and into the kitchen earlier that day. Sarah sensed a big man at her door who was going to come in and kill her or harm her. Beyond frightened and unable to breathe, she prayed. She prayed like her life depended on it. And she begged for Archangel Michael to help her, and Jesus, and anyone else she could think of. And then she saw the most beautiful glow of light enter the room. She felt a warmth she'd never known, and felt that everything would be okay and no harm would come to her. And then silence. The storm abruptly stopped. The rain stopped. The violent wind stopped. And Sarah remembers feeling peace come over her. And she fell asleep. As she shared this story, she became very emotional, and I felt really uneasy as something was really wrong in this bedroom. And it was not the malevolent energy that had meant her harm. It was something more alarming. As she spoke, I was facing the bed, and I could literally see the etheric outline and energy body of a large lady sleeping on the left side of the bed. I asked Sarah if she slept on the left side of the bed, and she confirmed that she did. I then asked Steve if he ever had to roll Sarah over to her side of the bed, and he said, "My God, she's on my side every night, almost pushing me out of bed." I asked Sarah how her back was feeling, and she said she'd been in absolute agony for weeks and was really over anxious about going to bed, as the pain was always so much worse in the bed. And she would wake up in complete panic, her heart racing, knowing that she just stopped breathing. I then knew I had to tell Steve and Sarah what I could see, and now knew and understood where her back pain came from. The large lady in the bed had lived in this house some years earlier, and she had died here, right in that same spot, as there was only one place for a bed in this ancient cottage bedroom. The large lady had back cancer, and she had passed away and died in her sleep. She was married to a violent man who enjoyed terrorizing her and would knock violently on the bedroom door that she would lock to try and keep him out. He would always get in the end, kick it open, slap her about. Sadly, the large lady still did not know that she had died and was stuck in the bed with Sarah every night. And her energy was merging with Sarah's And now Sarah was absorbing the back pain into her own body and was literally reliving the terror that the large lady had endured while she was alive many years ago. And this is why Sarah had heard the 5 violent knocks on the stormy wild night and knew that there was a bad energy on the other side of the bedroom door. I had never seen a spirit laying in a bed with the living before, and it was a surprise for a moment. Sarah almost threw up on realizing that she was sharing the same spot in her bed with a dead, sick woman. I performed a cleansing using sage and frankincense, Palo Santo, which, along with powerful prayer and asking for spiritual support, I witnessed the spirit of the large lady wake up to realizing that she was dead. And she left in the light with the angelic beings who came to support her. I felt such compassion for this lady and for others who suffer like her. I always believe that God, Supreme Being, Creator, Universal Love, always puts me in front of the right person or people at exactly the right time. Steve and Sarah have a loving, fun marriage, so the matching energy of the large lady was not aligned energetically, despite the fact that she was transferring her energy to Sarah. However, if Sarah had suffered a miserable, terror-ridden marriage, she may have actually created the same back cancer in her own body. As awful as this sounds, there are those who are so stuck in a marriage that they bring illness to them as a way to release from that person who aims to control their very existence. The cottage was surprisingly busy with spirit activity for its size, but the location and age would naturally attract spirits to it, as so much had gone on inside it over the past few hundred years. Everything immediately calmed down in the cottage, and eventually Steve and Sarah moved to a different home. They're still together and happily married, and Sarah never suffered night terrors or back pain in the same way again. And that is the tale, the true life experience that I physically had with a spirit that died and didn't know she'd passed on. And it is chapter 10 in my book, Angels, Demons, and Aliens. There are lots and lots of different experiences in this book, and it really truly is to help you, to guide you. And sometimes we just want to hear about someone who's seen something we have. We just want to read about somebody who can validate something that we know to be true, but we have no proof of. We can also read a book like mine to validate that somebody else has had these experiences, that others have been put into mental institutions or been shunned or just completely ignored as a crazy person by their family, which of course isn't okay. And now it's so wonderful. It's so great in so many levels that, you know, those of us, myself included, that was always like the black sheep, the weird one, the freak. Now the family members are going, so I had this experience and I know you might know something about it. So, and of course we're going to help them. Of course we are. You know, we don't need to treat them like they treated us. You know, we don't need to return the same energy and then still be stuck in a soul contract of negativity with them. It's not okay what they did. Of course it's not. Of course it isn't okay. But we have a decision and we have information to impart and to help our brothers and our sisters. And as a collective humanity, we all deserve to rise together and be the light that each individual person is. Hope you enjoyed that story, that true life experience. My name is Dani Henderson. I have an amazing week ahead of great broadcasts to bring you on my channel, Dani Henderson, DANI, and I look forward to sharing much, much more with you. Have a beautiful weekend. Lots of love. I'll see you soon.